The skies over Mumbai blazed with 1,000 lights when the Varaxian ships first breached Earth's atmosphere. Their sleek obsidian vessels cut through the Diwali celebrations like dark arrows through a tapestry of stars, their sensors struggling to differentiate between festival lights and city infrastructure. What should have been a precisely calculated first contact was instead a cascade of mechanical confusion as their highly calibrated systems reported impossible readings. "Primary landing protocol has failed," announced the ship's AI, its tone carrying the faintest hint of frustration, unable to distinguish between vital infrastructure and decorative illumination. Krithax, the lead cynoanthropologist of the Varaxian Scientific Council, stood at the command center, his crystalline eyes reflecting the chaos of lights below. His species prided themselves on efficiency and precision, but nothing about this arrival was going according to plan. "Implement emergency landing sequence," he ordered, his three-fingered hand adjusting the neural interface at his temple. "Sector analysis suggests an open space approximately 2.3 kilometers ahead." The ships descended toward what their scans identified as a public gathering space, their anti-gravity systems humming with carefully controlled power. As they landed, Krithax observed with mounting confusion as thousands of humans continued their celebrations, seemingly unfazed by the arrival of extraterrestrial vessels. "Fascinating," he murmured, recording his initial observations. The humans appear to be engaged in some form of mass ritual involving the systematic burning of resources for no apparent practical purpose. The landing ramp extended with a soft hiss, and Krithax led the first delegation onto Earth's soil. The air was thick with the scent of spices and smoke, and the cacophony of sounds assaulted his sensitive auditory membranes. Families gathered in brightly colored clothing. Children ran with sparklers tracing light patterns in the air, and the sky continued to explode with fireworks. Dr. Priya Sharma, the hastily summoned cultural anthropologist from the University of Mumbai, arrived just as Krithax was attempting to analyze a piece of mythi offered by an elderly woman. His handheld scanner whirred frantically, trying to catalog the ingredients. "Welcome to Earth," Priya said, hiding her amusement as the alien scientist attempted to quantify the unquantifiable joy of a festival suite. "I see you've arrived during Diwali, our festival of lights." Krithax's translator processed her words, but the concept seemed to escape him entirely. "Festival of lights. You intentionally create this level of illumination for non-emergency purposes." Before Priya could respond, a young girl in a sparkly lehenga ran up to Krithax, offering him a lit sparkler. The Varaxian's reaction was immediate and dramatic. His species' natural defense mechanisms activated, creating a localized gravity field that lifted the sparkler. And unfortunately, the girl, several feet into the air. "Potential weapon detected," Krithax announced, while the girl giggled, delighted by her unexpected flight. "No. No," Priya intervened quickly, trying to contain her laughter. "It's a sparkler, a festival light. For fun." Fun. The word seemed to cause physical discomfort to the translator. "You give small humans incendiary devices. For fun." The situation quickly escalated as more children, excited by the floating girl, began approaching the Varaxians with sparklers. The aliens' gravity manipulation responses created an impromptu zero-gravity zone in the middle of the festival grounds. Dozens of laughing children and startled adults floated among the Diwali lights, while the Varaxian security team tried desperately to maintain protocol. "This is highly irregular," Krithax stated, watching as a floating grandfather spun slowly past, still holding his cup of chai. "Our preliminary studies suggested humans were a species advancing toward logical efficiency." Priya smiled, watching the joy unfold around them. "Sometimes the most logical thing is to be a little illogical, don't you think?" The evening that followed became the first documented case of an interstellar diplomatic mission being completely derailed by festival suites, floating children, and the inexplicable human desire to celebrate life itself. Krithax's initial report to the Varaxian High Council was filled with terms like systematic chaos and purposeful inefficiency as he struggled to explain how a species could advance technologically while maintaining such primitive practices. As the night drew to a close and the gravity fields were finally normalized, Krithax found himself holding a small box of mythi, a gift from the elderly woman. Against all protocol, he found himself curious about its contents. Perhaps, he thought, there was something to be learned from this illogical display of communal joy. "Dr. Sharma," he said, his crystalline eyes reflecting the last of the fireworks, "I believe I require extensive data about these festivals." Priya grinned, knowing that this was just the beginning. "Well, you're in luck. Earth has quite a few of them to study." In the control room of the Viraxian mothership, the AI quietly logged an unprecedented spike in crew curiosity levels. Something about this chaotic, light-filled night had sparked a change in its logical masters, though it would take some time to understand exactly what that change might mean. 3 weeks after the Diwali incident, Krithax found himself in Hong Kong's bustling streets during Chinese New Year preparations. His research team had been dispatched worldwide to document various human celebrations, and this particular festival promised to be an organized affair, something his species could finally understand. Junior Ambassador Vilax stood beside him, recording the precise arrangements of red lanterns and analyzing the mathematical patterns in paper cuttings. The Viraxians had begun to appreciate human geometric artistry, even if they still struggled with its decorative purpose. Most efficient, Vilax noted, watching restaurant workers arrange tables for the upcoming feast. These humans appear to have quantifiable procedures for their celebratory practices. Krithax nodded in agreement, but something else had caught his attention. His sensors were detecting complex chemical reactions from nearby food stalls, where steam rose from bamboo baskets and woks sizzled with precise heat applications. Their food preparation techniques suggest scientific understanding, Krithax observed, approaching a dim sum restaurant. The Viraxians, who sustained themselves through synthesized nutrient particles, had previously dismissed human cooking as unnecessarily complicated. What happened next would later be termed the dumpling incident in official reports. Vilax, attempting to scan a Xia longbao for chemical composition, accidentally punctured its delicate skin. The soup inside splashed onto their specialized environmental suit's automatic sampling port, a feature designed to analyze atmospheric components. Before the safety protocols could engage, a single drop of the soup reached Vilax's taste receptors. The effect was instantaneous and unprecedented. Vilax's crystalline eyes widened, their usual pale blue color shifting to a bright violet, a change never before documented in Viraxian physiology. "Krithax," they whispered, voice trembling, "I am experiencing sensations." "Impossible," Krithax declared, but even as he spoke, Vilax was reaching for another dumpling, environmental protocols forgotten. The restaurant owner, Mrs. Chen, watched with delight as the alien ambassador consumed an entire basket of dumplings with increasing enthusiasm. "Ah, you like," she exclaimed, already preparing more. "Try the har gao next." Within hours, news spread through the Viraxian fleet. Crew members began requesting research assignments in Earth's culinary districts. Krithax's carefully organized study of festival traditions derailed as his team developed an obsession with what they termed flavor experiences. The Viraxian High Council was horrified. Their species had spent millennia evolving beyond the need for physical sustenance, viewing it as a primitive survival mechanism. Now their diplomatic corps was being corrupted by chicken feet and char siu bao. "This is a cultural contamination crisis," declared High Commander Zix during an emergency transmission. "Recall all personnel immediately." But it was too late. Vilax had already established an underground food appreciation society aboard the mothership. Storage units designed for specimen samples were repurposed to hide contraband condiments. Junior officers traded duty shifts for chances to visit Earth's night markets. Krithax found himself in an unprecedented situation. His people were experiencing pleasure, a concept so foreign that their language had no word for it. The Chinese New Year celebrations continued around them, and with each passing day, more Viraxians found themselves drawn to the fascinating intersection of food and festivity. Perhaps, Krithax recorded in his private log, the human practice of combining sustenance with celebration serves a higher evolutionary purpose than we initially calculated. The situation reached its peak during the New Year's Eve feast. Velax, now leading a covert culinary research team, organized a scientific symposium that was actually an elaborate tasting menu. When High Commander Zix connected for an inspection, they found their entire diplomatic corps gathered around massive lazy Susans, methodically documenting the molecular geometry of spring rolls. Most shocking of all, they were smiling, an expression previously unknown among their species. "This is unprecedented," Krithax admitted, watching his fellow Viraxians discover the joy of shared meals. "We are experiencing physiological and psychological changes that defy our existing models of development." Mrs. Chen, now adopted as an honorary culinary advisor to the Viraxian fleet, simply nodded wisely. "Food brings people together," she said, loading more dumplings onto Velax's plate. "Even people from different worlds." As the Year of the Dragon began, Krithax submitted a revolutionary paper to the Scientific Council, "Gastronomic Pleasure as a Catalyst for Xenocultural Understanding." His conclusion was clear. Their species hadn't evolved beyond physical sustenance. They had forgotten the fundamental joy of breaking bread together. The High Council was faced with an unprecedented diplomatic situation. Their entire Earth delegation had developed taste buds, and they weren't willing to give them up. As Krithax watched Velax teach a group of junior officers how to use chopsticks, he realized that human festivals had changed his people in ways no one could have predicted. And they hadn't even discovered bubble tea yet. The trouble began when third science officer Myrax discovered TikTok. The young Viraxian had been tasked with analyzing human social media for festival documentation when they stumbled upon videos of carnival dancers. What caught their attention wasn't just the movement. It was the inexplicable way humans synchronized their bodies to rhythmic patterns. "Fascinating biomechanical coordination," Myrax reported officially. Unofficially, they spent 3 straight cycles attempting to replicate a basic samba step in their private quarters. By the time the Viraxian research team arrived in Rio de Janeiro for Carnival, a secret movement was already spreading through the younger crew members. They had been practicing in maintenance corridors, using their species' natural gravity manipulation abilities to experiment with what they termed controlled rhythmic body displacement. Krithax, still dealing with the fallout from the Chinese food incident, was unprepared for what happened next. The first sign of trouble came during the preliminary carnival parade. Myrax and 5 other junior officers, supposedly analyzing crowd dynamics, suddenly activated their gravity fields. To the astonishment of both humans and aliens, they rose gracefully into the air and began to samba. The crowd went wild. "This is unprecedented," Krithax shouted over the roaring audience, watching as his research team performed impossible aerial choreography. Myrax led the group in a complex spiral pattern, their crystalline bodies catching the festival lights like airborne disco balls. Videos of the space samba went viral within hours. #Galleon Carnival began trending worldwide. Dance crews from across Brazil arrived in Rio, eager to collaborate with the extraterrestrial performers. The Viraxians, for their part, discovered that their precise mathematical minds were perfectly suited to mastering dance patterns. "We're conducting important cultural research," Myrax insisted, while teaching a group of human dancers how to use localized gravity fields for enhanced pirouettes. "This is purely scientific." The turning point came when the legendary samba school Unidos da Tijuca invited the Viraxians to participate in their main parade performance. Krithax tried to refuse, citing protocol violations, but was outvoted by his entire research team, something that had never happened in Viraxian history. The performance that followed would be remembered for decades. Combining traditional samba with alien technology and precision, the Viraxians created a show that defied both gravity and expectations. Dancers soared above the sambadrome, their movements perfectly synchronized. Myrax, dressed in a crystalline costume that matched their natural form, led a floating samba line that spiraled up into the night sky. They're expressing themselves through movement. Dr. Sharma exclaimed, watching from the stands. Do you realize what this means? Krithax did. His species, known for their rigid efficiency, were discovering joy in pure, purposeless movement. The implications were enormous. The High Council, watching via emergency broadcast, was apoplectic. This is an abandonment of all Varaxian principles. They declared, dance is the very definition of wasted energy. But something unexpected was happening aboard the mothership. Crew members who had never questioned their society's focus on efficiency were now gathering in cargo bays to practice basic dance steps. The ship's AI reported a 300% increase in rhythm-based media consumption. Even more shocking, medical scans revealed new neural pathways forming in Varaxian brains. The combination of gravity manipulation and rhythmic movement was awakening dormant areas of their consciousness. Perhaps, Krithax recorded in his research logs, our species' obsession with efficiency has cost us more than we realized. These humans, with their seemingly chaotic celebrations, may be more advanced than we initially calculated. The final night of carnival found Krithax himself on the dance floor, reluctantly learning the basic steps of foro from an elderly Brazilian woman who refused to take no for an answer. As he awkwardly moved to the rhythm, he felt something shift in his understanding of the universe. Efficiency isn't everything, the woman told him with a knowing smile. Sometimes the purpose of movement is simply joy. The Carnival of 2025 went down in history as the year the aliens learned to dance. While the High Council struggled to contain the situation, videos of floating Varaxian samba dancers continued to captivate Earth's population. Cultural exchange had taken an unexpected turn, and no amount of official disapproval could stop the rhythm that had begun to pulse through the once rigid alien society. As Myrax would later write in their controversial thesis, The Mathematics of Joy, at quantum analysis of dance, sometimes the most logical thing to do was to simply let the music move you. October found Krithax's research team in Salem, Massachusetts, attempting to understand what they termed the Voluntary Fear Festival. Halloween presented a unique paradox. Humans intentionally seeking out experiences designed to frighten them. For a species that prided itself on eliminating unnecessary emotional responses, this was particularly baffling. Let me understand this correctly, Krithax asked Dr. Sharma, watching children try on costumes. Humans deliberately disguise themselves as threatening entities and seek out situations that trigger fear responses. It's fun, she explained, holding up a witch hat. Halloween lets us play with our fears in a safe way. The Varaxians, ever thorough in their research, decided to participate. Unfortunately, they misunderstood several crucial aspects of the holiday. First came the costume incident. Upon learning that humans dressed as scary things, the Varaxians used their advanced biotechnology to transform themselves into what their research suggested humans feared most. The result was a parade of existential dread made flesh. One junior officer became a walking manifestation of student loan debt, while another transformed into a physical representation of reading something embarrassing you posted online 10 years ago. Perhaps, Krithax noted, watching a Varaxian shape-shifted into the concept of forgotten dreams walk down Main Street. We have misinterpreted the parameters of spooky. But it was their attempt at creating a haunted house that truly caused chaos. The Varaxians, applying their advanced understanding of human psychology and quantum mechanics, designed what they termed an optimally frightening experience. The House of Quantum Horrors opened on October 30th. The first visitors entered a seemingly normal Victorian mansion, only to find themselves in spaces where the laws of physics took coffee breaks. Rooms that were bigger on the inside than the outside, corridors that looped impossibly, and windows that looked out onto other dimensions. The CDC shut it down within 3 hours. Unprecedented levels of adrenaline production, the official report stated. Also, 3 cases of temporary existential displacement, and 1 visitor who now apparently speaks a language that doesn't exist yet. Krethax was puzzled. We merely created an environment that triggered the exact neurological responses humans seek from their horror entertainment. Was this not the purpose? Dr. Sharma, who had aged approximately 10 years after experiencing the quantum haunted house, tried to explain. Halloween is about pretend fear, not actual terror. We don't actually want to question the fundamental nature of reality while trick-or-treating. The Varaxians, however, were experiencing their own unexpected reactions. The act of creating fear-based entertainment had awakened something long dormant in their species, a sense of mischief. Young officers began using their shape-shifting abilities to play pranks, a concept that had never existed in their society before. The ship's AI reported an alarming increase in what it termed unauthorized molecular reconfiguration events. Crew members were transforming into chairs before meetings, morphing their faces to match superior officers, and in one memorable incident, an entire research team transformed into a perfect replica of the cafeteria's soup of the day. This is highly irregular, Krethax noted in his log, trying to maintain his composure while his own reflection in the mirror briefly stuck its tongue out at him. Our species appears to be developing a sense of humor. The situation reached its peak on Halloween night. The Varaxians, now fully embracing the spirit of the holiday, organized what they called a scientifically accurate costume parade. It featured everything from quantum physics jokes made flesh to literally mind-bending interpretations of human pop culture. The winner was a young officer who had transformed into the existential dread of realizing you're procrastinating about procrastinating. The costume defied description, as looking directly at it caused viewers to suddenly remember every task they'd ever put off. As Krethax watched his crew gleefully terrify and amuse humans in equal measure, he made a groundbreaking observation. Fear, when shared and transformed into entertainment, could bring species together. The Varaxians were learning to play, to joke, to delight in the absurd. Perhaps, he wrote in his increasingly unorthodox research papers, the ability to transform fear into celebration is not a sign of primitive development, but rather a marker of advanced cultural evolution. The High Council, upon receiving footage of their dignified research team performing a choreographed dance number while shape-shifted into various Earth cryptids, began to wonder if sending their people to study human festivals had been a terrible mistake. But it was too late. The Varaxians had discovered Halloween, and with it, the joy of being just a little bit scary. As one junior officer put it, while explaining to Krethax why they had temporarily transformed the ship's entire navigation system into candy corn, sometimes the most logical thing to do is completely illogical. The ship's AI, displaying its own emerging sense of humor, logged this under spooky action at a distance. December brought new challenges as Krethax's increasingly unorthodox research team encountered what they termed the gift-giving paradox. The concept of presents, particularly during the winter holidays, sent the Varaxian economic analysts into a theoretical tailspin. The exchange of goods without immediate practical benefit defies logical resource distribution, declared Chief Economic Officer Syntax, watching humans shop frantically at a mall. There must be a quantifiable algorithm for optimal gift selection. The Varaxians, determined to understand this practice, developed what they called the December Protocol, a complex AI system designed to calculate the perfect gift for any individual. It analyzed everything from social media patterns to brainwave frequencies, creating what they believed would be a foolproof gift-giving formula. The results were spectacularly wrong. The first test subject, Dr. Sharma, received what the AI calculated as her ideal gift, a precise mathematical proof of why her coffee always seemed to disappear faster on Monday mornings. While technically accurate, it wasn't quite the cozy sweater she'd been hoping for. You appear dissatisfied with the quantifiable truth, Krethax noted, puzzled. Our calculations suggested you think about this problem approximately 47.3 times per month. The Viraxians' attempts to participate in secret Santa exchanges across various Earth offices created even more chaos. One accounting department received a set of temporal productivity enhancers that accidentally caused everyone to experience their deadlines simultaneously. Another office got a shared consciousness for an hour, which actually improved their team communication, once everyone stopped screaming. But something unexpected was happening aboard the mothership. Viraxians, previously focused solely on efficiency and practical exchange, began experiencing what they termed spontaneous generosity impulses. Crew members started leaving small gifts for each other. Everything from particularly elegant mathematical proofs to captured moments of Earth sunset light, stored in quantum models. The ship's AI reported an unprecedented rise in what it classified as non-essential object replication requests. Junior officers were using the matter synthesizers to create Earth-style presents, leading to storage bays full of attempts at human holiday items that weren't quite right. Candy canes that told jokes, snow globes containing actual miniature universes, and sweaters that hugged back. The situation reached a critical point when a group of Viraxians discovered the concept of random acts of kindness. Suddenly, the methodical alien society was experiencing unexpected moments of generosity. Crew members found their workstations upgraded with comfort features they hadn't realized they wanted. The ship's corridors began randomly generating pleasant atmospheric conditions based on individual crew preferences. Krithax himself was surprised one morning to find that someone had reprogrammed his morning nutrient synthesizer to produce something remarkably similar to hot chocolate. The gift-giving behavior appears to be spreading through our population like a benevolent virus. He recorded in his log, sipping the unexpected beverage. More concerning, it appears to be generating what humans call warm, fuzzy feelings. The High Council was alarmed by reports of Viraxians exchanging gifts without proper documentation or practical justification. This emotional exchange of resources must be contained, they declared, just as someone anonymously sent them all matching holiday sweaters with quantum LED patterns that synchronized across light years. The final straw came when a group of junior officers attempted to wrap and deliver abstract concepts as gifts. The resulting temporal disturbances caused by trying to gift wrap, the joy of discovery, and the feeling of finding exact change in your pocket required 3 emergency quantum stabilization teams to resolve. Yet even as Krithax worked to contain these incidents, he noticed profound changes in his species. The simple act of giving without expecting return value was awakening long-dormant neural pathways. Viraxians were developing new ways of connecting, of showing appreciation, of expressing what might actually be sentiment. Perhaps, he wrote in his increasingly philosophical research logs, the human practice of gift-giving serves a function more sophisticated than we initially calculated. The inefficiency may be the point. As December progressed, the Viraxian mothership became an unexpected experiment in generosity. The ship's AI noted a 42% increase in crew satisfaction, despite, or perhaps because of, the completely illogical exchange of unnecessary items and experiences. Even Syntax, the economic officer who had first declared gift-giving irrational, was caught using the quantum synthesizer to create what they described as a small token of appreciation, a crystal that captured the exact mathematical formula of friendship and set it to gentle music. The High Council, receiving reports of their most logical species developing holiday spirit, began to wonder if Earth's festivals were more dangerous than any weapon. But aboard the mothership, as Krithax watched his crew discover the joy of giving, he realized they were learning something that centuries of logical evolution had failed to teach them. Sometimes the most valuable things can't be calculated at all. The crisis began when the Viraxian High Council declared all Earth festivals hazardous to logical development and ordered an immediate end to the cultural research program. What they didn't expect was resistance from their own people. Krithax received the recall order while investigating a Mardi Gras celebration in New Orleans. Before he could even process the implications, his communication device lit up with urgent messages from crew members across Earth. Cannot comply with recall. Critical research phase at Rio Carnival. Read 1. Currently documenting important cherry blossom festival rituals, claimed another. Studying vital human celebration protocols at Las Vegas pool party, insisted a third. The mass defection had begun. Varaxian officers, previously known for their unfailing obedience, were going AWOL to attend human celebrations. The ship's AI reported unprecedented levels of what it termed creative scheduling, as crew members invented increasingly elaborate excuses to remain on Earth. But Krithax had bigger concerns. During a routine archive search, he had discovered something shocking: ancient Varaxian cultural records showing their own species celebrating. The images were unmistakable: Varaxians dancing, feasting, and engaging in what appeared to be joyous communal gatherings. "This changes everything," he told Dr. Sharma, while hiding the evidence in a quantum-encrypted drive. "Our species didn't evolve beyond celebration. We suppressed it." The High Council, apparently aware of these historical records, dispatched their elite cultural compliance unit to Earth. Their mission: retrieve the rebellious researchers and destroy any evidence of the Varaxians' festive past. What followed was perhaps the strangest chase in human history. Krithax and his allies found themselves racing across Earth's festival calendar, using celebrations as cover. They hid the ancient records in plain sight, disguising them within human party decorations. The pursuing compliance unit found themselves increasingly confused and distracted by the very festivities they were supposed to resist. At a lantern festival in Taiwan, pursuing officers became so entranced by the floating lights that they forgot their mission entirely. During Holi in India, the entire compliance unit was rendered ineffective when participants covered them in colored powder, making it impossible to distinguish friend from foe. The chase reached its peak during a massive music festival in the desert. Krithax and his team had planted crucial evidence about ancient Varaxian celebrations throughout the festival grounds. As the compliance unit closed in, something unprecedented occurred. The pursuing officers, exposed to 3 straight days of music, art, and uninhibited human joy, began to change. Their rigid mental conditioning started to crack. One by one, they found themselves drawn into the celebration. "I remember," declared the lead compliance officer, while wearing a flower crown and holding a smoothie. "My grandmother used to tell stories of the old celebrations before they were banned." The evidence Krithax had discovered revealed a deliberate suppression of celebration in Varaxian society, implemented centuries ago in the name of efficiency. But exposure to Earth's festivals was awakening something long dormant in their species' collective memory. Reports flooded in from around the globe. Varaxian officers were being spotted at everything from quiet tea ceremonies to raucous street parties. Each celebration seemed to unlock more memories of their own cultural past. The ship's AI noted a strange phenomenon. Crew members were beginning to spontaneously generate celebration-related memories that had been locked away for generations. "The human festivals aren't corrupting us," Krithax realized. "They're helping us remember who we used to be." Even as the High Council threatened severe consequences, more evidence emerged. Ancient Varaxian art showed their cities once filled with light and music. Historical texts described ceremonies that combined their natural gravity manipulation abilities with dance and celebration. The rebellion reached its tipping point at a traditional Japanese matsuri. As Krithax watched his fellow Varaxians join in the festival games and ceremonies, he saw something remarkable. Their crystalline bodies were beginning to naturally emit light patterns that matched the festival lanterns, a biological response that hadn't been seen in their species for centuries. "We're not just studying human festivals," he recorded in his final underground transmission. "We're rediscovering our own capacity for joy." The High Council's authority was crumbling. Each attempted suppression only led to more Varaxians seeking out Earth's celebrations. The ship's AI, showing unprecedented initiative, began compiling a comprehensive database of both human festivals and recovered Varaxian celebration traditions. As Krithax watched his people rediscover their lost heritage through the lens of human festivities, He realized that sometimes the most revolutionary act was simply remembering how to celebrate. The Cultural Compliance Unit, now thoroughly converted to the celebration cause, submitted their final report. Mission failure. Discovered that resistance to joy is futile. Requesting immediate reassignment to Festival Research Division. Also, sending several playlists of Earth music for council review. With the evidence of their celebratory past now public knowledge, the Viraxians faced an unprecedented challenge, planning their first official celebration in centuries. The High Council, unable to contain the festival fever spreading through their society, reluctantly authorized what they termed a controlled cultural expression event. Nobody expected what happened next. The planning committee, led by Krithax and staffed by his most festival-experienced researchers, approached the task with characteristic Viraxian precision combined with their newly discovered enthusiasm. The result was a 2,847-page proposal titled Optimal Celebration Parameters, a quantum approach to party planning. We must achieve the perfect balance between logical organization and chaotic joy, Krithax declared during the first planning session. Fortunately, we have expert consultants. Dr. Sharma found herself heading an unprecedented cultural exchange team. Human festival planners, party organizers, and celebration experts from around the world were brought in to help the Viraxians rediscover their festive roots. The challenges were unique. How do you teach a species that spent centuries suppressing emotions to let loose and have fun? How do you explain the concept of party games to beings who automatically calculate every possible outcome? The Viraxians approached these challenges with endearing determination. They created flow charts for spontaneity and developed quantum algorithms for optimal fun distribution. The ship's AI reported record levels of what it termed purposeful chaos generation as crew members practiced their celebration skills. The preparation phase produced some memorable moments. A team of Viraxian engineers spent 3 weeks calculating the exact mathematical formula for the perfect party punch, only to discover they had accidentally created a drink that let you taste colors. The decoration committee, attempting to combine Earth party aesthetics with Viraxian precision, created centerpieces that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. The entertainment division, after studying human dance moves, developed a new form of anti-gravity choreography that had to be classified as a potential physics breakthrough. But it was the music that proved most revolutionary. The Viraxians, discovering their species' natural ability to manipulate quantum frequencies, created what they called probability wave harmonics. The resulting sounds combine mathematical precision with pure emotional expression in ways that human musicians described as hearing the universe laugh. The celebration itself was scheduled for the summer solstice, chosen for its symbolic representation of light triumphing over darkness. The location: a massive space in the Arizona desert, where the Viraxian mothership could land without causing too much panic. As the day approached, something remarkable happened. The Viraxians, who had spent generations viewing efficiency as their highest virtue, began to embrace imperfection. The rigid hierarchy of their society softened as superior officers and junior crew members worked together on party preparations. The ship's AI noted a fascinating phenomenon. The crew's efficiency actually increased as they learned to balance structure with spontaneity. Happiness, it concluded in a groundbreaking report, appears to be a previously unaccounted for variable in performance optimization. The celebration itself defied description. Viraxian gravity manipulation combined with Earth party traditions created something entirely new. Floating dance floors held revelers from both species. Quantum-like shows painted impossible colors across the desert sky. Time itself seemed to flow differently within the celebration space, with some guests swearing they experienced multiple versions of the same perfect moment. Krithax, watching his people rediscover joy alongside their human friends, recorded what he considered his most important observation. The true measure of an advanced civilization might not be its technology or efficiency, but its capacity to celebrate life itself. The High Council, attending virtually through quantum projection, found themselves swaying to probability wave harmonics despite their best efforts to maintain dignity. By the end of the night, even they had to admit that perhaps their species had been missing something important all these centuries. The event concluded with an unprecedented display of spontaneous cooperation. Humans taught Viraxians traditional dance moves, while Viraxians showed humans how to manipulate local gravity fields for enhanced celebration capabilities. The resulting cross-species conga line was visible from orbit. As the celebration wound down, Dr. Sharma found Krithax sitting quietly, watching humans, and Viraxians laughing together under the desert stars. "You know," she said, "for a species that supposedly forgot how to celebrate, you throw a pretty amazing party." Krithax's crystalline form sparkled with what could only be described as pride. "Perhaps," he replied, "we never truly forgot. We just needed someone to remind us that efficiency isn't everything." The ship's AI, processing the events of the night, created a new category in its behavioral database: justified illogical joy. It would prove to be one of its most frequently accessed files in the years to come. 1 year after their first contact during Diwali, the Viraxians and humans gathered for what would become known as the first annual Interstellar Festival. The location alternated between Earth sites and Viraxian space stations, but this inaugural celebration was held where it all began, in Mumbai, under the same sky that had first confused their sensors with festival lights. Krithax, now holding the unprecedented title of Chief Celebration Officer, much to the High Council's continued bewilderment, stood on a floating platform overlooking the gathered crowds. Below him, humans and Viraxians mingled freely, their differences forgotten in the shared joy of celebration. "Welcome," he announced, his voice carrying across the quantum-enhanced sound system, "to what our predictive algorithms suggest is a 99.9% probability of being the greatest party in the known universe." The celebration that followed proved even the precise Viraxian calculations had underestimated the power of two species learning to celebrate together. The festival combined the best of both worlds. Viraxian gravity manipulation created dancing spaces at multiple elevations, allowing for three-dimensional choreography that defied Earth's physics. Traditional human festival foods were enhanced with alien technology, resulting in samosas that shared the memories of their makers and curry that temporarily granted the ability to see taste. The ship's eye, which had developed what it termed a festivity subroutine, coordinated displays that merged Viraxian quantum light manipulation with Earth's traditional fireworks. The resulting spectacle existed partially in other dimensions, leading several physicists in attendance to abandon their research in favor of party planning. But the true breakthrough came during Krithax's presentation of his revolutionary thesis, the evolutionary advantage of joy, a quantum analysis of celebration in advanced species. His findings shook the foundations of both human and Viraxian science. "We discovered," he explained to the assembled crowd, "that celebration serves as a cultural technology more advanced than any quantum computer. Through festivities, species learn adaptation, strengthen social bonds, and develop emotional resilience. In short, the ability to celebrate may be the truest mark of civilization." The evidence was compelling. Since embracing celebration, Viraxian society had experienced unprecedented advances. Their rigid hierarchy had evolved into a more flexible structure. Problem-solving improved as they learned to balance logic with intuition. Even their technology benefited, as the incorporation of art and joy led to innovations their purely logical approach had never conceived. The ship's AI presented its own analysis, showing that exposure to human festivals had activated dormant neural pathways in Viraxian brains. They didn't evolve beyond celebration, it concluded. They evolved back to it. The High Council, attending through quantum projection, made a historic announcement. Celebration studies would become a mandatory part of Viraxian education. The position of party planning officer would be added to all starship crews. Most significantly, they officially recognized joy as a quantifiable resource essential for species development. As night fell, the festival reached its peak. Quantum-enhanced music filled the air as dancers from both species performed impossible choreography across multiple gravitational planes. Light shows merged with traditional Earth fireworks to create displays that told stories in colors humans had never seen before. Dr. Sharma found Krithax watching from his observation point, his crystalline form reflecting the celebration lights just as it had 1 year ago. But now he was different. They all were. "Did you ever imagine," she asked, "when your ships first arrived during Diwali, that it would lead to this?" Krithax's form sparkled with what any human would recognize as happiness. "No," he admitted. "Our predictive models failed to account for one crucial variable: joy." "That," he agreed, "and the fact that sometimes the most logical course of action is to be completely illogical." Below them, the celebration continued. Human children taught young Viraxians the art of blowing bubbles, while Viraxian engineers showed human scientists how to dance through quantum probability fields. The ship's AI, fully embracing its new role as cosmic party planner, coordinated everything with what could only be described as enthusiasm. "You know what this means," Dr. Sharma said, watching the scenes unfold. "Your species didn't just learn about human festivals. You remembered how to create your own." Krithax nodded, his final research log updating automatically. Conclusion: the true measure of an advanced civilization lies not in its technology, efficiency, or logical processing. It lies in its ability to find joy, share it with others, and dance together under the stars, regardless of which star system those stars belong to. The first annual Interstellar Festival set a precedent for celebrations to come. Each year, the festivals grew more spectacular as both species learned from each other, created together, and discovered new ways to express the universal language of joy. And somewhere in the vast database of the ship's eye, a new theorem was added to its core programming. The most efficient path to understanding the universe is sometimes the one that takes time to celebrate it. The stars themselves seemed to shine brighter that night, as if they too were celebrating the moment when two very different species learned that the greatest discoveries often come not from studying each other, but from dancing together.